Betheny Manktelow here. Welcome to our Millwall Fan show with some new voices, but the same focus. Just everything Millwall. Enjoy! Welcome to the 2023-24 series of Millwall No One Likes Us Talking's Our Millwall Fan show. I'm your host Betheny Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Myles Thornton, Steve Warren and George Lampey.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Welcome team, and welcome to our listeners. Don't forget, please vote for the Millwall Community Trust in the Mayor of Lewisham Awards. George, what are your views on the game against Swansea?
Oh, what a disappointing game that was. Well, it was depressing, actually. It wasn't just disappointing. I thought the fact that we were given a footballing lesson, over the years, I think Swansea have always played lovely football. But the thing that disappointed me throughout the entire match was our forward play. At no time did we create anything in what we would call the last third of the field. You know, we were attacking, and I just all the time was so disappointed with that. I know maybe as a team we rely on our defence, but I thought it was a real lesson for us in how to pass the ball and to move. And yes, I thought it was a very depressing afternoon, and I'm sure everybody there went away as disappointed as I was.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dad, what are your views on the game against Plymouth?
I think we looked better at Plymouth after we settled down. They certainly came out of the traps running, and it looked like it might have been a long night for us again. But I think the first half was a bit of a hard watch. But we held firm, and I thought Wes Harding looked at home in the centre of the three. I thought Denori played another good game, and he seemed to be everywhere. In fact, the whole defensive unit looked strong. Even Bart made some great saves. I think he's coming back to his best. But for me, it's like so many teams we've played against recently. We've struggled against those that don't allow us to settle on the ball or put our passes together. And I know they got their forwards in numbers, and we didn't. But, I think defensively we held firm. I think the second half was a different game. They stood off a bit, allowed us to get our passing game together. I thought Watmore was excellent going forward. And he was giving their defence a hard time. The goal he set up for Fleming was great. His initial control was on the spot. If you watch it come down from their bloke's header, he takes it down and then just sort of puts a pass through and cuts them to ribbons. Fleming took it really, really well. And the other thing to note there, of course, is that we were still down to 10 men at that point because the ref hadn't let Leonard back on after he'd had his treatment.
Yeah.
And I thought the second goal was interesting because we tried to play up into that top corner. They won the ball, got a throw in, and automatically they're trying to play it out from the back again. It's gone back via their goalie, and SA was chasing it round. And then it was a bit of a robust challenge, shall we say, by Fleming. But he came away with a ball and had a clear run and goal. And other players might have run for the corner. So I was actually pleased he ran on goal, put the pass in, and we scored, and that was that. So for me, I thought all in all, it was a good night's work. We kept a clean sheet, had 2 well-executed goals. We were brave. And, let's not forget that Plymouth were, the ones with a formidable home record. And it was it one game, with their last home game, they put 6 past Norwich. So well done, really.
Absolutely. And Myles, 2 different games and 2 different outcomes. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, well, for the Swansea game, I think as I completely agree with what George said, it comes down to the final third because we had 22 shots in total. They had 7. So 5 on target. If we'd just been a bit more clinical, it could have been a completely different game. We had 6 corners. They had none. I mean, so I just think it comes down to the final third. If we'd been a bit more clinical, it could have been a different game. It would have been a different game. The Plymouth game was really decent, to be honest with you. It was. Gary Staff said to me the other day, said it was a carbon copy of the game against Swansea, and I thought, well, we sort of played the same sort of. Wes Harding, really had a good game, and Zian Fleming and Jules Saville scored really good goals. So yeah, good night.
Absolutely. Well, we will take a break there and hear about our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Hi, this is Jess Tuffield from G&M Motors. Operating from a modern and purpose-built facility in Milton Road, Gravesend, G&M Motors offers a complete range of new Honda cars and services. As well as new Hondas, we have an extensive range of used cars, including ex-Motability cars from a variety of manufacturers. Specialising in new Honda cars, G&M Motors has been retailing quality new and used vehicles to the people of Kent and South East London for over 4 decades. We have been a Honda dealership since 1972 and are the country's longest serving supplier of this renowned mark. Conveniently sited just 2 miles from the A2, 10 miles from the M25 and Dartford Crossing, visitors to our showroom are assured a warm welcome from our experienced and friendly staff. Our facilities include an on-site workshop capable of providing full vehicle servicing and repairs, as well as an extensive parts department offering genuine Honda parts and accessories. The expertise of our skilled mechanics is not limited to just Hondas, but extends to most makes and models of motor vehicles. Whatever your motoring needs, visit us at G&M Motors today. The newly extended hours of our G&M headquarters means that you can contact us from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. on Saturdays. To contact us, call us today on 01474 365 026.
Thank you, Jess. Debbie Julian's here. Don't forget to call Jess on 01474 813562. G&M Motors have been dear friends with the Julians family for over 4 decades now. From my dad Lenny to me, Debbie, Lions together.
I'm your host, Betheny Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles Thornton, Steve Warren and George Lampey. Many thanks to our sponsor, G&M Motors. Why not go along and check the Hondas out and see what else they have on site at Gravesend? Our first guest hails from Kennington but was brought up in Tulse Hill. He played as a midfielder in the Football League for Hereford United, Wimbledon, Aldershot, Millwall and Brighton and Hove Albion. When playing with us, he had his most successful period leading the Lions as their captain. He subsequently has had further roles with Millwall since he hung up his boots. What more can I say but to introduce the one and only captain that took us up to the top flight, Les Briley.
Hello,
Les.
Hi, Les, you all right, mate?
Les, great to have you on the show once again, but before I let this panel speak with you, what are your thoughts about our away win at Plymouth?
I thought it was absolutely outstanding. I didn't actually see the game, but I thought it was outstanding. And the system, it went with 3 at the back and the 4 in midfield, and then obviously the 2 and the 1, and that kind of suited us in some respect. And he's changed from playing the 5 at the back, I do believe, which doesn't seem to work. Also, which was very good, was Wes Harding. You know, a good performance from what I can gather from Wes. Interesting that there was 8 yellow cards in the whole evening of the game, and 6 happened to go to us. But then again, that's par for the course for us. So, yeah, great result.
Thanks for that, Les.
Hi, Les. Myles here. You are a hero of my mum's early days following the Lions and someone that she speaks quite highly about. When you were with Chelsea as a youngster, who were the 2 men with you that came through to be stars in the top flight?
The Chelsea youth team that I was in, there was some really good players coming through. Clive Walker was one. Tommy Langley played centre forward. Tom played quite a few games for Chelsea, scored a few goals as well. Lee Frost was a player that came through and didn't really do that much. He did for a couple of seasons, but then he faded out. I don't know if he got an injury or what actually happened to him. But the main key players that did really, really well, obviously, was Ray Wilkins. Outstanding, went on to play for England, actually came to the Den and joined Wisey, linked up with our team. So, yeah, that was fabulous. Ray Lewington, of course, assistant manager of England at one stage. Steve Wicks, Derek Richardson, the goalkeeper, John Sparrow, of course, he played quite a few games for Chelsea. There is quite a few players there. There's probably 6 or 8 that I've actually named that actually went on and had a really, really good career. So yeah, it was a difficult time for me at Chelsea, with obviously trying to break into the first team with Ray Wilkins, Ray Lewington in front of me. Also, don't forget there were some great players in that Chelsea side. Alan Hudson, Steve Kember, John Hollins, just to name a few of the elderly players. But yeah, there's some outstanding names for you there. And thanks very much for asking such a great question.
Hello, Les. It's Steve here. We had Tony Cascarino on recently, who struggled with his weight, but it's not as much as the stories associated with Brian Horn and Terry Hurlock. What are your memories and the funnies of those two managing their fitness at the Den?
Yeah, hi. So I remember driving in the mornings, and it was always Monday morning was the weigh-in kind of day. And if you were overweight on the Monday morning after a bit of a booze up on the weekend, because those kind of things happened back in the day, different to what they're like now, with all the nutrition and things like that. And the funniest thing was driving in on a Monday morning and seeing Brian Horn and Terry Hurlock jogging round and round and round the pitch just so many times with a black bin liner on and a load of clothes, trying to sweat about 7-8 pounds off of what they'd probably put on the weekend. 7 or 8 pounds is a bit heavy, but probably 3 or 4 pounds. But yeah, the fine back in the day wasn't so bad because it was just 10 Hamlet for Johnny Doc, because we couldn't afford much back in them days because we didn't get great pay like they do get now. But as I say, the fine was just 10 Hamlet, so it's very good. Great question, by the way, and yeah, it was a great laugh, I must admit.
Evening, Les. It's George here. It's 35 years since you captained the Lions into the top flight. There was some great talent at Millwall under the stewardship of John Docherty and Frank McClintock. What memory of that season is still foremost in your memory?
Hi. I remember so much about the history of that team. Fabulous side, some absolute great talent, outstanding talent. And it was made very simple by John Doc, because the first quarter of an hour he would all think you're going to play short and play the ball in the feet, but don't. So Teddy and Cass used to show up. We play the ball in behind because we had to turn them. So we never played in the feet the first quarter of an hour of any game, but we never let teams know, obviously. And we used to catch teams out because they used to back in the day, try and physically come through you. And it was a good escape route for Jimmy Carter, who was so quick, and Kevin O'Callaghan as well. Very pacey, very tricky on the wing. So we could always find people because the other players would always try and close you down, whereas we knew we was going to play them behind. And so did the front players of our side. So yeah, a great side, two outstanding centre forwards, 2 outstanding wingers. Our job was easy and the instructions was easy. All we had to do was, me and Terry just had to win the ball, give it to the wide players, and let them get on with it. And they used to do everything. Jimmy and Callie used to provide great crosses for Cass and Teddy, and they were great finishers, absolutely outstanding finishers. And all we had to do was pick up the loose balls on the edge of the box that were coming out when they got defended. So it made it very easy for us, and it was a good system. And it worked. And what was so pleasing was the fans. Absolutely, at Hull was absolutely magnificent. What an absolute day that must have been, because we had a fabulous time, and the fans were so pleased for the fans after all these years, being the only London club not to get into the top flight of English football, and we actually achieved that and actually done that, and proudly so, by a few points. So very pleasing, and thanks for asking the question.
Les, it's well known that George Graham and Theo Foley, John Docherty and Frank McClintock were held in high esteem by you. In fact, George wanted to take you to Arsenal when he moved from us to them. Those four were followed by Bob Pearson for a short time, and then Bruce Rioch. Tell us how Bruce took to the managerial helm in the hope of returning Millwall to the top flight.
Hi. Well, it was difficult for Bruce because he took over, and I'm not sure that he really wanted to take over at the time when he took over. He wanted to take the job once we were actually relegated. And Bob Pearson actually stepped in when John left, and Frank left. So Bob Pearson stepped in and did a job for a while, and did a great job for a short period. It was difficult for Bruce. We were a side that had been relegated. There was a few issues here and there. Players getting tapped up, players wanting to go. So I understand that it was difficult for Bruce. It was difficult for me because he wanted everything his way. The players kind of didn't agree with it really, and it was hard, and things didn't work out the way that he wanted. He had some good ideas, great tactics, but things never quite worked, and it never quite seemed the same when we'd lost John and Frank. They was outstanding. Them two, Theo and George, were exactly the same. They were outstanding, the pair of them, and I can see why they went to Arsenal and did so well at Arsenal. And John was just unbelievable. Team spirit, camaraderie, everything about John was brilliant. His tactics, great. Frank, once again, knew the game inside out and was outstanding. And Bruce didn't really convince us that he was as good as either of those guys that you've mentioned. And unfortunately, things didn't work out, and I ended up doing even more jobs than I had already with John and George, as well as being team captain, club captain, had to be PFA representative because nobody would take the PFA job on, and that's a very, very difficult job this day and age. PFA, you don't always get on with a manager. You could lose your place, and that's exactly what. So yeah, got no regrets. Bruce tried his hardest, and his team of coaching staff tried their hardest. Steve Harrison, Steve was absolutely outstanding as well as being a genius comic. He was a very, very, very good coach, and used to drive the minibus like a lunatic. But yeah, so it was difficult times for Bruce, and taking over it was a difficult club, for anybody to manage, let alone try and get us back up again. And unfortunately, we didn't quite succeed. So that's where it stands with us.
Les, who were the standout players you played alongside in George Graham's Millwall team?
Hi. The outstanding players, Kevin Bremner, Stevie Lovell, they were all good players. Alan Walker, Don't forget he carried on through and played in the promotion winning side as well. He came to the club, Alan, when times were quite difficult. There was, Stevie Lowndes. There was such good players here at the club when I came in, and they all did well. We did quite well when George took over. Obviously, I wasn't here when he took over, and he did a great job of keeping them up in the third division. And for us to get promoted from the third into the second was a really good achievement. Obviously, George was full of good things, and obviously he went on to bigger things, and rightly so, and took Theo Foley, who was outstanding as a coach, knew the game inside out, brilliant knowledge, great character. Both of them guys were great, unbelievable characters, and did really well for the club. Absolutely outstanding. But yeah, most of those players that I mentioned were kind of forward-going people. But there were some good defenders as well. Brian Horn come through the ranks, Paul Sampson as well, goalkeeper. They was, being blooded. Bob Pearson was always at the club. Bob Pearson was magnificent. You talk about managers and teams and things like that. Bob Pearson's recruitment was amazing. His records, you look at the record, absolutely phenomenal, really. So there was very good people at the club. Always, the club always had good managers, and the club has always had good staff, and long may that continue. Fabulous.
Les, we asked Anton Kurakowski how he might have fared in football today, perhaps as a wing-back. Might he have had the skills, but beyond that, how do you feel about the game now featuring 3 or 5 or even 4 at the back? The high press, the counter-attacking and the formations continually changing throughout the game. How do you view all of that, Les?
Right, the game has changed an awful lot. The high press, a lot of teams do a lot of high pressing. A lot of teams sit back. There's so many different variations to play. Do you press? Do you hold? Do you go press in the front, or just drop off to the halfway line and invite them in and sit in there? And I think that's kind of boring for me. I'd rather see a high press, get further up the pitch. And John Dock used to say, win the ball back early, win the ball back as high up the pitch as you can, then you've not got that far to go before you're in the attacking zone. And John got it absolutely spot on. George was the same. Theo, Frank, they all used to, know the game inside out, and they were always preaching about winning high and turning teams and playing in the other half, doing the right things, systems. They were basic back in our day. It was either 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. There was, little of the 3-4-1-2s and 1-3s and all sorts of different systems that they played today. Wing backs pushing on. I like to see people get on and take people on 1v1. For me, you go back to football years and years ago, and you look at some of the systems, and if you couldn't defend 1v1 with people, now you look at some of the defending, they have to have 2 or 3 people around them, and they're no better players today than they were back in the day when I played, against the cream and the elite, against the besties and people like that, and Rodney Marshes and great people like that, and Johnny Sissons and all sorts of players that I played against. So yeah, the systems, I'm not really a big fan on them, but I do like to go forward. I do like attacking play. It excites me. sitting back, watching people pass backwards, sideways and square really, really doesn't do it for me. But going forward, I do love it going forward. And that's what the crowd's like, and that's what the crowds want. People want to see people going forward because it's exciting. Scoring goals is the only way you're going to win games. Possession does not win you games. Winning, putting the ball in the back of the net, that's what wins you games.
There is so much that we could ask you about, as there is so much in your Millwall history, including the Millwall Academy, being a co-presenter with Carl Bates, and matchday hosting in the executive lounge or boxes. So we'll have to have you on to come and talk about that again. But before that, please could you give us a prediction for the Millwall versus the team that you defeated to win promotion to the top flight, Hull, but on this occasion at the Den on Saturday?
I would really like us to win, and I do believe we will win, but only by the odd goal. I'd like to see a goal difference of 2 or 3, but not sure that's going to happen. All depends what the manager puts out and what system he goes. I hope he plays a forward-going system. Maybe Bradshaw might be back because we miss him, and get linking up with Fleming again like they did last year and create some goals. I would like to say that we're going to win. I really do feel that I think that after the performance at Plymouth, which as I say I didn't see, but it's such a good result, as everybody was moaning so much, which they're entitled to. But yeah, I think it'll be a close game, and I hope we do win. I think we'll shade it.
We will take that all day long, Les. So, Les, thank you so much for coming on the show. We look forward to hearing from you in the not too distant future, and all the best to you and your family. Bye, Les.
Bye, Les.
Bye, Les.
Bye, Les.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's been great and a pleasure and an honour to speak with you tonight.
And we'll take another break there and hear about Harvey's Den Cafe.
I'm Harvey Brown, and do you know that Harvey's Den Cafe is open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. till late? Well, you do now, and you can enjoy a full English anytime and a variety of lunchtime mains from jacket potatoes with fillings, a whole range of other delights with chips or mash, to a chili con carne or match day Saturdays. We are open from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There are sarnies and of course the full English too. Tea, coffee and much more are always available. Mum Vicky, Dad Dean and me Harvey look forward to welcoming you. We are upstairs at the Lions Centre where the Millwall Community Trust are in Ballina Road. See you soon.
I'm your host Betheny Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles Thornton, Steve Warren and George Lampey. Check out Harvey's Den Cafe, meet Harvey and the family and enjoy what's on offer ahead of our game against Hull on Saturday. Now let's hear from Ellis Barr. I cannot believe that she is at senior school now. Keep us posted on what you're up to, Ellis.
Hello, Ellis here, and I'm glad to be back talking about Millwall. I know many have watched my videos, so you will all know that I don't wear splints as much anymore. Thanks for your support along the way. It is now time to hear what all the Millwall teams are up to, and what is next for Garion Rollitt's Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Thank you as always, Ellis. We caught up with Paul Lodin, Millwall Romans and Pride General Manager. Let's hear what Paul has to say.
Hi, it's Paul Lodin over at the Millwall Romans with a quick update for the week. Both teams, both Romans and Pride, were on a break this week. Romans are back in action this Sunday, another LUL game. We're playing away, our first one of the season on grass over in West London at Barnes Elms. That's a 2:00 kickoff, and Pride are currently on a break. The draw has come through for the Cup, so we are actually facing Titans again at the end of this month, on the Saturday the 29th of October. That's against Titans, and if we win the Titans game, then we've been drawn against Bristol, which will probably be played at a neutral venue in Birmingham. But obviously we have to get through Titans first. Hopefully we'll have a nice long cup run this year. It's great to see Millwall picking up some points in the week, slowly working their way up the table. Hull City at home, not probably going to be the easiest game, but again, I'm going to put some confidence out there. Let's say it's going to be a Millwall, we're going to nick it 1-0.
Jeff Burnage filed a report for Maritime Radio following the Millwall Lionesses game away to Regent's Park Rangers in the Women's FA Cup at the weekend.
Give me love on Maritime Radio. So two-time Women's FA Cup winners Millwall Lionesses headed to Richmond to face Regent's Park Rangers in the second round of the competition. They were looking to change their run of recent luck and defeats in the league. Jeff Burnage picks up the story and post-match catches up with the interim Lionesses management team of Alex Russell and Adam Rowland, along with Captain Grace Steely, who has the last word.
This is Jeff Burnage reporting for Millwall Lionesses. It was a record-breaking 11-0 victory in the FA Women's Cup against lowly Regent's Park Rangers. Always a game that was going to be extremely winnable, let's say, for the Lionesses. So rather than recite all the goals, I had a word right after the final whistle with joint managers Alex Russell and Adam Rowland and club captain Grace Seeley. Alex Russell, this is your second game as interim manager. What were your thoughts on today's 11-0 victory in the FA Cup?
I think it was a very positive and professional performance. The girls went in at half-time 3-0 up, but we asked if they could just raise it a level and then some. I think they came out and done that. It was obviously only 3 at half-time, 11 to finish the game, so they really did pick it up second half, but everyone did a really good performance today. Forwards are scoring goals, midfielders are dictating the game, the defenders have kept a clean sheet, so I'm glad for every single player.
And the draw for the next round of the Women's FA Cup on Monday, got any thoughts on what you'd like?
A winnable fixture would be nice. Who doesn't like a cup run, magic at FA Cup? But I'll take anybody, home or away.
And your co-manager on an interim basis, Adam Rowland. Who are you particularly pleased with today, Adam? Perhaps only being able to use 3 subs in the FA Cup. How did you think those 3 contributed?
Well, they contributed very well, to be fair. I mean, Grace came on, got herself 4 goals very quickly, so very pleased with that. But more so a movement off the ball was very, very good today. So very pleased with her there. I think Emily Simmons came on and she done very well in the 4. Got on the ball just like we asked her to and kept us ticking over, kept the ball moving. And Ellen also, she came on the right for Melissa and done very well. You know, she's got great feet, Ellen, and she's a very, very good player, very promising player for the future.
Thanks, Adam, and all best with the cup draw and next week's game. I think it's a home game, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
I've got Grace Seeley, who was captain today. What were your thoughts on the game, Grace?
Well, to be honest, we didn't really know much about the opposition today, so we were kind of coming in a little bit blind, but we all just agreed that it doesn't matter who we're playing, we had to apply the same principles as we do every single week. I think we started a bit slow, but as soon as the first goal went in, I think we started to build some momentum. We went in at half time and said that we still had a few more gears to go, and I think we showed that in the second half, obviously with the scoreline the way it ended up. And we had some really good individual performances today, especially from some of the young players, and obviously Grace Laverick, who came on and managed to get 4 goals in a very short space of time. So I think overall very happy, and we go into the next round now and hopefully we get drawn a good game.
Well, that's next round is drawn tomorrow, Monday. Yep. What are your thoughts? What would you really like?
I think it's obviously really nice. I always want to have a cool rivalry. But to be honest, it'd be nice to obviously play an opponent that we haven't not that familiar with, so we can go in with the same attitude as today.
Thanks, Grace. All the best.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Romans and Pride doing well and back in action this weekend. We will hear more about the Millwall Lionesses and the FA Cup later in the show. But what a performance. And that haul of 4 goals by Grace Laverick was completed in 18 minutes. Incredible. Hull City visit the Den this Saturday. The last time we played them in April this year, we lost 1-0 at the MKM Stadium. Back in November last year, we contested a goalless draw with them at the Den. Hull City suffered their second championship defeat to Ipswich Town as they went top on Tuesday night. The Tractor Boys beat a strong Hull City side 3-0 to move ahead of Leicester at the top of the championship. Their previous defeat was away to Norwich by the odd goal in 3 in August. A point to note is that the Tigers drew at home 1-1 with Plymouth on Saturday last. Maybe the loss of influential midfielder Regan Slater against Plymouth was an issue for Hull, as he remained sidelined for 2 months. Their boss,
Liam
Senior, commented, "We have now lost 2 in 10 and we are hard to beat. We weren't on Tuesday, but overall, it's not a crisis, it's no drama, we learn our lessons and move on to the next one really quickly. We are still in a really good place, we have got 16 points from 10 games, the championship is always so close. For us, we have lost 2 of the last 5 in the league, and we will be without Bradshaw, Sarkic and Hutchinson. However, Wes Harding was a giant in the middle of the back 3 or 5 at Plymouth. What do we reckon, team?" George?
Well, I mean, after the Plymouth game, and I think we must have been very relieved at that. And as you just said there, Bethy, Harding, I just couldn't believe the performance I was seeing, because I actually watched him early in the pre-season games and I wasn't very impressed. But the other night, I was just blown away. I think the other night has set us up to have a really good game on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to this. I think the club and the supporters, it should run right through the club, the sort of confidence that performance has built and the win. So I'm looking for us to have a really good day come Saturday, yeah.
What's your prediction?
My prediction will be 3-1 to the Lions.
Love it. Dad, what about you? And what's your prediction?
I agree with George. I thought Harding looked brilliant at the back. I think he steadied the ship a little bit. He looked good higher up the pitch as well. If it was me, I'd probably start Saville above Campbell, but that's just me. Defensively, I think we look stronger, and I think going forward there were some really good signs. So I think it's going to be 2-0 to us.
Love it. And Myles, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to echo exactly what those two just said. And Wes Harding, wow. I think that's all we need to say about Wes Harding, to be honest. It was just such a good performance. And I do think they'll be wanting to get a result, because obviously on the back of a defeat. But I think we'll stay strong, and I think we're going to win 2-1.
Fab. Yeah, I agree with all of you. Again, to hammer home about Wes Harding, he was just fantastic. I mean, I didn't get to watch, but I've seen the highlights, so I was listening along. And I was just really impressed. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to us, I think, is what I'm going to go with. So we will take a break there, and we will be listening to Harvey Brown again and hear what he has to say about the Lions Food Hub.
Hi, Harvey Brown here. I am proud of the Lions Food Hub, which is jointly owned by Kelly and Ellen Webster, and they have been supporting families within our community for over 2 years on Millwall match days. If you would like to donate to them, they have a match day donation hub by the SE16 bar at Coldblow Lane, end of the ground, where they accept any food or money and toiletry donations. If you can help, any donations will be received with thanks.
I'm your host, Betheny Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Myles Thornton, Steve Warren and George Lampey. If you can, please bring items or financial donations to the food hub at the Coldblow Lane end of the ground on Saturday ahead of the match. Our second guest tonight is Millwall fan, man and boy. He was educated at the Harris Academy in East Dulwich and became involved in his current role as part of the interim Millwall Lionesses management team, along with Adam Rowland when Keith Bonus left the management role last month. A familiar face around the den, and even with the first team home and away. Let's welcome Alex Russell. Hi, Alex.
Hello, Alex.
Okay. All good,
Hi,
thank
Alex,
you.
right.
Yeah, thank you all. Yeah, thanks for having me. All good.
Perfect. So, firstly, Alex, before I let you off to the team, was supporting Millwall an option or was it your destiny?
Well, definitely destiny. I had a bit of a soft spot for Arsenal growing up, which I don't know if I should admit that, but it was always going to be a Millwall, unfortunately.
Hi, Alex, Myles here. It's 30 years at the Den, and you will have attended many games there, but what is your stand-up game from that period at the Den and why?
I think I'll do two. One from a fan perspective and then one from sort of working at the club. Probably Huddersfield in the playoff semi. However many years ago that was now. Feels like an eternity ago. But I just remember that it was just the den was rocking that day. I was quite young, so I think that's probably one that contributed towards giving me the real sort of Millwall bug, if you like. I think since working there, God blimey, there's been a few. Probably, I have to say, maybe wasn't technically working for the club full time. It was more in my Lionesse role, but Leicester in the FA Cup at home with 10 men, and Sean Cummins popping up late into the game and a slight one past the keeper. But yeah, seen many games there over the years since my new role. Seen many games on the road and plenty more to come.
Hello, Alex. Steve here.
How you doing, Steve? You all right?
Yeah, good. How long have you been with the Lionesses? And you must have seen a number of managers pass through, and now you're at the helm.
So I joined as a volunteer in the 18-19 season, I believe, back when Millwall Lionesses were in the Championship, and followed them up and down the country. I think that was Man United's first season with a women's team, so I got to go to some amazing grounds, playing the likes of United. We played at Arsenal, played Spurs, etc., like some really big names. We finished the season on 5 points. It was a tough season, but I got a bug for it, travelling up and down the country and being a part of the media team at the time. I then stepped into a player liaison officer role as and when the club rebranded in Tier 6 at the time. That was the following season, so it would have been sort of 19-20, and it was under, as you say, a different manager to what we have now. I think that was probably 3 or 4 managers ago now, but that was a role that I felt really comfortable in doing. I'm a real people person, even in the way that I coach and manage now. Really think that player management is something that you hear the likes of your Beckhams and Scholesies that talk about Sir Alex and managers that have had real sort of effect on players' careers, and it's something that I try and do. So as a player liaison officer, I think that really did reflect me as a person. And then now I've stepped into, our first was assistant manager under Katie Whitmore, and now I've had 3 interim periods as manager. Largely successful, I have to say, but I'm here now until the foreseeable, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Hello, Alex. It's George here.
George, all right?
Fantastic result on Sunday, and we've just heard from Jeff Burnid's report from Maritime, which featured Adam Grace and yourself. 11 goals for, none against, a hat-trick for Emma Whitzer, and 4 goals for Grace Limerick. Firstly, who got the match ball? And secondly, it's Margate up next in the Cup at Alresford at St Paul's on Sunday. Looking ahead, can you give us your thoughts about both of those games?
So at the weekend, I think Emma Whittle would like to have taken the match ball, but both put on a display that was worthy of one each, to be fair. Grace had served a 3-game ban, so it was her first sort of introduction back into first team football. She'd only been training with us, and for a 20-minute spell to get 4 goals is largely impressive. But I'm sure that Emma Whittle will be staking a claim to have the match ball. So looking ahead, we've obviously got Alresford at home. Home record is something that Millwall have always sort of built on and prided themselves on having a positive record. So we're going to look to try and beat Alresford on Sunday. Training's been good. We've got a largely available squad. There's not really anybody missing. A couple of players that have been injured, but got 25 plus to choose from, which is always a good headache to have. And yeah, Margate in the next round of the Cup, the last qualifier. I think the magic of the FA Cup, we like to think we can take anybody at home. We're not going to look into league standings or positions or anything, because there's no real place for complacency where Adam and I are concerned and the rest of the squad. So it doesn't matter what league they're playing in or any of their previous results. We're going to treat any sort of game the same and hopefully get through to the first round proper.
Amazing. So, Alex, thank you for that. But before you go, and as you know, it is tradition on the show to ask you for a prediction for our next game. So, what are your thoughts for Hull City at the Den on Saturday?
Well, I think Tuesday was a fantastic display, and I know that the lads will be looking to build on that. Something that the manager will probably propose to them to try and take everything they've done on Tuesday into Saturday, otherwise it doesn't mean anything. So I think a largely positive defensive display. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I just think that it's about how many we can try and score the other end. I'm going to go 3-0. Go optimistic.
Love it. Well, thank you, Alex. It has been great to hear from you once again, and we wish you and all the very best with the Lionesses and also the Deputy Supporters Liaisons Officer. Many thanks for coming on, and we're sure you'll be back. So, bye for now.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Alex.
Cheers, mate.
Lovely. Thank you all.
We'll take a short break there and listen to Betheny Manktelow talking about the matchday programme.
Hi, Bethany here. Want a matchday programme? You'll find them with sellers outside the ground by the gates at Zampa Road, Stockholm Road and Senegal Road. They cost £1 and the sellers ask if you can have the right money, as change will be difficult. If you want to get a message, photos of special events, memorials, or just ones for good luck to be included, email smprogram@protonmail.com. That is smprogramme@protonmail.com. It's a great read. I am your host, Betheny Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Myles Thornton, Steve, Warren and George Lampey. Have your pound coin ready to buy a programme. We are all looking forward to the next game, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans and those interested in football.
Sands United work hard to help men deal with baby loss. Well, they are holding a charity football match for Baby Loss Awareness Week 2023 versus Goals for Gosh, managed by Millwall fan Tamer Hassan on Sunday the 15th of October. It is a 4pm kickoff and gates open at 2:30pm at Averley FC, RM15 4PX. Tickets are on sale now, under 16s £5 and adults for £10. You can purchase tickets by going to eventbrite.com and search for Sands United London versus Goals for Gosh. That's figure 4 and all in one word. One more time, Sands United London versus Goals for Gosh. That's figure 4 and all one word. Good night.
Next week, the show will be back with George hosting, Ted, Debbie and Jeff with a couple of guests. Also, remember, Millwall Community Trust need your votes. They have been nominated for 2 awards in the Lewisham Mayor's Business Award. The 2 awards that they have been nominated for is the Best Visitor Attraction as well as the Best Community Contribution. To vote, go to their website or look out for their QR code on social media. Good night.
And Millwall Community Trust is thrilled to announce that their half-term holiday camps. Join in for a week of fun activities at 2 convenient locations. Lewisham Camp at the Lions Centre, Berliner Road, from Monday, October 23rd to Friday, October 27th, for 5 to 13-year-olds, or Southwark Camp at St Paul's Sports Ground, Rob Hive, from Monday, October 23 to Friday, October 27th, and that is for 6 to 13-year-olds. For full details, go to the Millwall Community Trust website, click News, scroll down to October half-term holiday camps, and all the information will be there. Good night, everybody. There you go.
Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team, bring reports from our games both home and away for the Lions and Lionesses, and also updates on Millwall Community Matters too. That's all on Maritime Radio broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, social media sites, and all popular podcast sites. That's it from me. Thank you, Myles.
Thanks, Bethany. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dad.
Thanks, Bethany. Thanks, all.
And thank you, George.
Thanks, Beth. Good night. Enjoyed it.
And lastly, thank you all for listening. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there, and it's good night from me.